Hello everyone and welcome to Fairytale Friday with Mrs Quinn. This week I thought I'd share a poem from the Book of Hopes that I shared with you over the last few weeks, which was put together by Catherine Rundle. This definitely continues to be my favourite book at the moment. So this week I've chosen a poem called The Hope-o-potamus, which was written by Greg James and Chris Smith, who are both Radio 1 presenters, and wrote the popular children's book Kid Normal. So I've just turned to page 135, where you'll find the Hope-o-potamus. So let's begin. In a drought, in the dust, in the dry riverbed, a sad hippopotamus hung his grey head. He'd had nothing to drink since the start of this week. If he didn't find water, things could get quite bleak. The hippo was sad and the hippo was hot. But did he sit down and give in? Of course not. He remembered the words of a wise old giraffe that he'd heard long ago when he'd been a young calf. There'll be times in your life when your road will be tough. You'll be tempted to say that you've had quite enough. There'll be people that try and convince you to stop, and you'll feel that you're just about ready to drop. But those are the times when you've got to keep moving, and with every small step, you will see things improving. Just point any way that seems hopeful to you. You move 1 foot forward, then foot number 2. Then follow this up with your other 2 feet, then return to foot 1 and repeat and repeat. Remember these words, said the wise old giraffe to our hero the hippo when he was a calf. So the hippopotamus nodded his head. I'll keep plodding and see where I get to, he said, and he looked all around at the arid terrain and thought, will I ever find water again? Ahead, a high mountain rose up in the distance. It looked rocky and steep, but with hippo persistence, he decided he'd walk till he had to overcome it, in case there were better things over the summit. First, he came to a desert, which wasn't too handy. It was hard to walk through, rather slippy and sandy. A camel was sitting on top of the dune and told the hippo, you absolute loon! Turn around, go back, or you'll look like a chump. There's no water this way except this in my hump. But the hippopotamus shook his head. Just a bit further, he boldly said. 1 step at a time he continued his journey, till he came to a jungle, dark, dank, green and ferny. The jungle was thick and the creepers were creepy, and a large sloth hung down from a branch, looking sleepy. This forest, it goes on for miles, he said, yawning. Why don't you just hang with me till the morning? The hippo, though tempted, again shook his head. Just a bit further, he bravely said. He plunged on through the jungle, and after a while, he arrived at the mountain, the ultimate trial. Poor Hippo was tired, almost giving up hope, but 1 step at a time he pushed up on the slope. The mountain was rocky and strewn with huge boulders. The stones hurt his feet and the sun scorched his shoulders. A lion sat there on a rocky outcropping, and the lion called out, you're much better off stopping. But the hippopotamus shook his head. Just a bit further, he proudly said. His heart was so heavy, his feet were so sore, but he climbed and he climbed, 1 step, then 1 step more. And just when he was feeling ready to drop, he finally realised that he'd reached the top. And a splendid sight met his eyes when he looked down, a wide, muddy waterhole gleaming and brown. He could see lots of splashing. Someone was there, bathing. A hippo, a friend. And they seemed to be waving. And the hippopotamus nodded his head. I'm glad that I chose to keep going, he said. Then a voice from behind him called out, we were wrong! The lion, sloth and camel had followed along. And the animals cried, you're more brave than a lot of us. Hip, hip, hooray for the hippopotamus. And that's the hippopotamus. written by Greg James and Chris Smith. I really enjoyed the rhyme and rhythm of this poem. And when reading this story, it made me think of how we all need to persevere and really support and encourage one another during this unsettling time. So here are some activities that you can do linked to this week's poem, and I'll also share the link to the whole book if you're interested in reading more. So firstly, can you think of an example of a time when you've encouraged a friend? Well, I'd like to hear about it. Or if you'd like to do some research, why not find out 3 amazing hippo facts using the books or the internet? Or if you'd like a challenge this week, why not have a go at writing your own poem about hope? And can you make it rhyme like the one that we just read? I hope you enjoyed this week's story, and don't forget to share your work and comments on Twitter. See you next time.